Hello, my name is Cliff Godwin, and I manage eBusiness Suite development at Oracle, and today I'd like to give you a brief overview of our strategy and roadmap. So we're going to talk about our continuous innovation release strategy, some of the latest investments we've made in eBusiness Suite, a little bit about how eBusiness Suite relates to the cloud, and then where you can go for more information. So let's move directly into our roadmap. The thing to understand about our EBS 12.2 release is that it is the long-term premier support release for eBusiness Suite. We call it now our continuous innovation release. We're going to continue updating that release, and we're going to have a way to help you take up the latest underlying technologies underneath the 12.2 release at the level that you're on without having to do another rapid install-based upgrade. So we don't expect a release 13 or a release 12.3. 12.2 and its ongoing evolution is going to be the long-term premier support release for eBusiness Suite. We've committed to support 12.2 through at least 2030. The date we have for 12.1, though, has not changed. We will have supported by the end of 2021 the 12.1.3 release for over 11 years and 12.1 overall for over 12 years. So Premier Support is ending at that point. We're working with our ACS group to define a paid offering that would be available for people who need to run longer than 2021 in order to complete either a complete migration to our cloud ERP product lines or SaaS products, or to complete the upgrade to EBS 12.2. So as you can see from the roadmap, we've maintained a roughly annual cadence, and we expect to continue that with releases every year that give bug fixes as well as new features on the 12.2 code line. Let's highlight some of the key investments we've been making in eBusiness Suite. First is online patching, which is the signature feature of the 12.2 release. This allows users to remain on an unpatched version while DBAs apply patches, and then you have a brief cutover period, no matter how long the patch application process took, in which to cut over to the patched edition. So for people with high availability requirements, this is a key value in getting to 12.2. One of the latest innovations we have on 12.2 is our enterprise command centers. This is a huge improvement to the user interface of eBusiness Suite. It introduces an information-driven navigation paradigm for users of eBusiness Suite. Each user at the beginning of the application session can begin their day with a dashboard showing key indicators and charts and graphs. You can search using search refinements, and all the time as you work your way to finding the right transactions to work on, there's a list of transactions available right on the screen, and you can click any one of those and move directly to it to take action. So the idea here is to make the user experience more intuitive and more data-driven and information-driven navigation, and also to obsolete a lot of the needs you may have had for custom reporting to identify exception reports or other kind of reports that drive the user to look at particular transactions. Users should be able to find their way to those transactions by themselves with this interface. We have this now available in 22 different applications in eBusiness Suite. It is supported for users of 12.2.4 and higher, so if you're on 12.1, this is one of the key reasons why you would want to upgrade to 12.2. This is not something that you have to license either at the application or the technology levels. There's no additional cost for users of licensed products. This is extensible, so you can bring your own attributes, your custom attributes, into the framework along with the ones that we deliver, so they can participate either as key indicators or as search refinements to help users get to the right information. Let's look around briefly at the different areas of eBusiness Suite just to highlight one or two things that we've done recently, just to give you an idea. In the financials area, we've introduced a number of command centers. I'll highlight the receivables command center because this helps you establish the paradigm of what this command center technology really does for you. So here the idea is that you, as a receivables agent trying to decide what customer to call to collect money, can get a view that you might have normally gotten from an invoice aging report, where you can see how much of your past due receivables falls into different aging buckets. To get to the to narrow down on the oldest aging bucket, you just click on the graph, and then the whole interface recalculates based on just that data subset. And you can see that which customer has the largest balance within that bucket. You can click on that customer's chart. Now you're looking just at that bucket, just for that customer, and you can see what the totals are, but also you can see the list of invoices that make that up. You can click to look at one of those invoices, and there you are. So after 3 clicks, where originally we didn't even know what customer to look at, now you can see the invoice that you should be calling that customer about. We have other command centers in the financials area. A couple examples are the payables command center that helps you pay on time but not too early, and to avoid and to identify opportunities for discounts that you may be able to take advantage of by paying early. And in the assets area, we help you identify issues that may affect your period close and improve your asset utilization. In the order management area, we've made a number of enhancements over the course of 12.2. I'll highlight that recently we introduced the Order Management Command Center, which helps you expedite orders, remove holds that may be on orders for different reasons so that they will ship. And on the functional side of order management, we've been focused on adding more support for subscription models of business. So basically be able to take an order for products and associated warranties or service plans, and then also to bill for an open-ended recurring billing or milestone billing, or as of 12.2.9, our latest release, usage-based billing. If you have a rental contract or a subscription that's based on where the pricing is based on usage, you can enter that pricing and the price tiers associated with the usage, import the usage information, and then order management will bill based on that. In the logistics area, we have an inventory command center that helps you interact with your carriers to tender for the right carrier requirements based on weight or volume, and to handle exceptions where maybe the carrier sends the wrong truck and you have to re-optimize what you're going to put on the truck that did arrive. We've added a number of HTML UIs in the supply chain area. I'll highlight the receiving HTML UI that we have, shipping HTML UI that we have, the material workbench is now in HTML, and in warehouse management, the core task management control board that we have is now in HTML. So in addition to command centers, the movement to offer HTML alternatives to many of our Oracle Forms-based interfaces is one of the big thrusts we have in the 12.2 release. In addition to those HTML screens, we have a mobile supply chain application that now supports, that runs on Android or iPhone devices, and it now supports complex barcodes where you can scan a barcode and enter multiple different data elements from that directly into the interface. On the procurement side, the most exciting development is that we now support consumer-like shopping using that Enterprise Command Center technology. We basically built a shopping experience that's just like an internet shopping retail experience you might have for requisitioners to shop for goods. Again, that's much better than the interface we've had either in 12.2 previously or in the 12.1 interface. All you have to do is be on 12.2 and you can deploy a very modern, attractive internet shopping experience for your iProcurement users. For the procurement line of business, we have a procurement command center that helps you analyze how well the requisitioners are responding to the items that you have in your catalog, as well as identify problems that you have with your suppliers. On the project side, we focused on improving both project costing to help you identify period close issues where you may have capitalized or expensed something incorrectly, or where you may some expenses may be assigned to the wrong project or task. Identify those problems to help get your accounting more accurate and close your books faster. And on the project billing side, we've introduced a concept called billing groups that helps you do revenue accrual and billing separately for different types of expenses that you might be capturing, things like billing one group for design activities and then billing another group within a company for progress on an earned value schedule of values. In the manufacturing side, we have three command centers to talk about. One is the discrete manufacturing, which helps you identify production bottlenecks, cases where maybe you have a component shortage that's going to prevent you from completing an order. We can help you identify what part might be available as a substitute so you can complete that work order. We have similar capability on the process side, but there we're also, in addition, sensitive to the expiration dates of lots that you may have, so that if you get a new order, you can allocate lots before they expire, of ingredients before they expire to this particular batch. We also support outsourced manufacturing through a command center so that you can identify problems that your manufacturing partners might have with replenishment orders. In the enterprise asset management side, we have a command center that helps you identify and relieve bottlenecks to getting your maintenance done. So if you have a high priority maintenance activity that comes in because something broke, you may have already allocated either all the technicians or all the maintenance parts you have to planned maintenance activities. So as a user, you have to go in and decide which of those you're going to deallocate the workers or the material from so that you can service the emergency. And this command center helps you with both of those use cases. On the service side of the business, we have a service contracts command center that helps you identify how to approach service contract renewals more effectively. You can zero in on ones that are going to expire in a certain time frame and that may have certain issues present so that you can resolve those and increase the likelihood of a contract renewal. For service execution, we help you identify service requests where you may be at risk of not meeting your service level agreement and proactively take action to meet your agreements. In depot repair, which is where parts come back to you to be repaired, we have a similar command center that we have in the asset management area where you can identify bottlenecks. And we have a new capability that's very exciting. It's the first use of machine learning in eBusiness Suite, where we make prescriptive recommendations based on the problem report so that by the time the goods come back to you to be repaired, you've already received the right maintenance parts in stock at the repair center. In the human capital management area, we have a command center that helps you browse the organization to find people who have maybe in a particular location at a particular job grade with a particular competency so that you can assign them to a task. And we have most of the activities that you would do as an employee or a manager in the HR applications can now be done through a smartphone app. So we have a human resources smartphone app in addition to the time card app and approval apps that are available. So turning now to just how what we're doing in eBusiness Suite relates to the cloud, one idea is that you would take advantage of some products from our cloud product line, either completely migrate to those products or use those products in conjunction with your eBusiness Suite. So in that context, extending eBusiness Suite with some of our cloud applications, we see people doing this with a number of scenarios. What's listed here is a set of kind of architecturally sensible scenarios where the integration is straightforward. And some of the most common things we see are people using our planning and budgeting cloud products along with eBusiness Suite, or using the Taleo cloud for recruitment along with the eBusiness Suite for core HR. Now, in addition to the idea of using our SaaS products in the cloud, we also have the idea that you would use our cloud platform offering, our Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, underneath your eBusiness Suite. So here the idea is that you could reduce cost by getting subscription economics for database and infrastructure, basically cloud economics, underneath the eBusiness Suite you already own. You have metered approaches where you pay for only what you use. So in addition to saving you sort of the IT costs of doing data center refreshes and buying hardware as capital expense, the other value that this creates is that we can provide better automation when we're writing administrative utilities for eBusiness Suite on our own cloud. So why our cloud? It's not just that it's better than on-premise, it's also better than other clouds because we can provide much more complete automation for provisioning, for lifting and shifting an existing fully configured EBS system from on-premise to cloud, to automate cases like setting up disaster recovery or doing backups and restores, or adding a new node to your environment. All of those things we can build much more complete automation for because we fully understand the underlying environment and we can take advantage of its unique capabilities. So where do you turn for more information? Oracle.com/EBS is where we publish all of our announcements and our links to other key resources that you need as an EBS customer. In particular, I'd highlight the Oracle eBusiness Suite Learning subscription, which lets you access essentially all the recorded content from our Open World conference that relates to eBusiness Suite, including a longer version of this keynote. So in summary, EBS 12.2 has substantial value and we're continuing to invest in it. If you're on 12.1, you'll see online patching, enterprise command centers, and almost 10 years of functional advance relative to where you were at the 12.1 level. It's a release where we will continue to update the technology and offer you functional updates without requiring an additional rapid install upgrade. And it's the one where we'll provide long-term Premier support. If you're on 12.1, Premier support does end at the end of 2021, although we are working to have an ACS offering that will allow you to continue in stable operation as a paid contract. And so if you're on 12.1, you either need to complete a migration to our cloud applications or plan an upgrade to EBS 12.2. Staying on 12.1 for many, many years is not the right strategy. So with that, let me thank you very much. Hello, my name is Cliff Godwin. I manage eBusiness Suite development at Oracle, and today I wanted to give you an update on the latest release that we have of our Enterprise Command Center suite of products and capabilities. We will just deliver that here in spring of 2020, and I want to give you an update of all the great things we've done. So I'm going to talk just a few minutes for people who aren't familiar with the command centers about what the basic idea is, give you some kind of key information, and then we're going to spend most of the time talking about what we've done lately. So let's start just with an overview of what we mean by enterprise command centers. This is an information-driven navigation paradigm that we've adopted throughout the applications, meaning that there's like essentially a set of BI-oriented home pages that regular users of eBusiness Suite use to start their day using eBusiness Suite applications. So you start with key indicators, charts, and graphs, and transactions you could work on, and various ways to filter and refine searches as if you were shopping, really. And you can use those capabilities to drill for, to identify the right transactions for you as a user to work on. So each time you do a drill, you learn some new things, and you can zero in on what are the transactions to work on that are appropriate given your role in the organization, your priorities. The key thing that differentiates this from other kind of BI tools is it's tightly integrated with eBusiness Suite. So as you make your BI filtering selections, the set of transactions that relate to that is always shown immediately below, and you can drill immediately into that and then come back to the summary BI type information and go back and forth. So the idea here is really that it doesn't necessarily eliminate all your needs for data warehousing, but it should eliminate a lot of the operational reporting you need. Things like an invoice aging report, where once you would previously look up the transaction to work on a report, and then you'd query for that transaction in the transaction system and then act on it. Here, that type of information can come to you through this interface, and you can move directly to the transaction. So we hope that it will allow you to retire a lot of custom reporting that you have, kind of operational and situational awareness type reporting, and instead use this to navigate directly within the system. So users will like it better, and you have less custom reports to maintain. So that's what overall what we're trying to do here. We've now delivered this in with 28 different command centers, as we call it, which are really an aggregation of 95 dashboards that we have. So we'll show you a lot of that as we go through. We have this now throughout the whole eBusiness Suite. Key points are that you have to be on release 12.2, basically 12.2.4 or higher to use this. We don't have it available on 12.1. And the key point is that there's nothing to buy. You don't have to license any technology, any applications. You don't have to buy a specialized piece of hardware or something to run this. This is something you could basically just gives you more value for the products you already have, assuming you're at the 12.2 level. If you're on the 12.1 level, this is really a reason you should look at upgrading to 12.2, because then you can deploy this set of capabilities. As I mentioned, enterprise command centers are integrated directly with the eBusiness Suite user interface and with security. So what this means is, as you navigate back and forth between the BI dashboards and the transactions that you can see in the transaction system and the data that you can query for in the dashboards is all restricted to the security that applies to you given your role in the organization. So if you should only see certain cost centers or certain operating units, that all automatically applies to the transactions and to the data that's being calculated here for you to look at. So you're always in context. And unlike other kind of data warehousing oriented or other BI tools that you might set up, where you have to then go implement all the rules about who should see what data separately in another tool, here you don't have to do any of that. It all comes directly out of what you've already set up in eBusiness Suite. Now, of course, you're going to ask, can I customize this? Can I add data elements that are unique to my business, my organization, bring those in either to the key indicator calculations or as filter criteria to search for transactions? And the answer is yes, you can. This is all very easily customizable and extensible. You can change the charts and the graphs. You change the chart types. You can add new charts and graphs. You basically do everything very easily to customize the dashboard itself. And then if you want to add additional data elements to the underlying collections that are supporting all this information, you can do that as well. So let's talk about what we've done for you lately. What we've introduced in March of 2020 is 6 new command centers and a total of 23 new dashboards. And then there are many command centers in the existing dashboards where we made enhancements as well. So in addition to functional new development along those lines, we have a number of things we've added to the framework that then applies to all of the different dashboards that we have. So by popular demand, we've added saved searches and export to Excel, 2 things I'll highlight for sure, as well as descriptive flex field support. We also have new capabilities that make it more efficient to keep the data up to date behind these charts, and new chart types and other advances to let the developers, if you're building out new dashboards or if you're enhancing the existing dashboards we have, to give you a lot more capabilities that we have in those areas as well. So let's jump into what we've done for you in financials. Here, the interesting, we've done some work around the period close that applies to both payables and receivables. Done some things that are very valuable for handling leases, and we have an incentive compensation command center as well. So let's just jump in. In the payables command center, the idea of the payables command center is that it helps you not pay any earlier than you have to, but not be late because you have things on hold, be able to foresee how much you're going to be obligated to pay under the invoices that you've already processed, so understand your cash flow. And what we've added just recently is a dashboard to help you identify accounting events that are going to be or accounting treatments that are going to be a problem for getting through the period close. So we'll show you that in a moment. On the receivables side, the idea is to help you collect money more effectively from your customers, to foresee your day sales outstanding, to resolve bottlenecks and analyze your payment trends, recognize problems, and get things off of hold and so forth, just to expedite your receivables processing. And again, in this area, we've added sort of a companion to what we did in receivables, which is to identify companion what we did in payables, which is to identify receivables transactions where the accounting might not be correct and it might impact your period close. So let's take a look at this whole idea of improving the period close process across payables and receivables, showing you the payables dashboard case. So here we start out with the dashboard, and we have 3 open periods. So let's decide to work just on our first period, the January period. So now the data is filtered down with the January filter. And by the way, you'll always notice on the left side there, this navigation, or the refinements section over on the left side reflects the filters that we've applied so far. So we picked the January 20 period now at this point. And what we want to do is look into draft accounting. So these are the places where either the users or the system, based on rules that have been set up, has derived accounting treatments. And you as the accountant are looking at that to see if you think that's correct. So and then once it goes from draft, you can approve it and goes into a final accounting state. So these are things that if there's something wrong, might hold up your period close. But now you can proactively look at these things that are in draft accounting state. And there's several different accounting event types. You have credit memos, invoices validated, payments being created. But it looks like most of the draft accounting we have is in the credit memos area. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. You click on this chart, and it restricts to the draft accounting events that relate to credit memos. Now, a new feature we added in Framework in this release, if you look at where the little finger there is positioned, you can actually expand this chart. So if you have a lot of rows you want to look at, you can do it all at once. You click on that little expansion icon there, and you get to see the whole screen is taken over now by just looking at the extensive set of rows. So now what the business scenario is here is that you're basically processing credits to suppliers. Just suppose they were supposed to send you 100 of something, but you only received 95. So now you need a credit back from that invoice for the 5 that you didn't receive. So when we process that credit, the accounting for that should normally debit a liability account, usually a payable to supplier type of account, because we owe the supplier a little less money than we'd originally recorded. But you can see up here we have an unusual accounting event, payable to bank. So normally that wouldn't be the right thing to have on a credit memo when you have a supplier situation like we described. So we're going, well, wait, but that looks like a problem. So let's click on that. And we get right down to the individual transaction here where it is where we can see the payable to bank in the credit memo area. So the next thing you say is, well, I wonder if we have payable to bank in this area, I wonder if we have that in some of the other accounting events. So we filter down to credit memos before, but let's actually take that filter off and now zoom back out to see whether we have payable to bank in other accounting event types. So as you see from where the finger is positioned there, you're going to remove the filter on credit memo validated. And when you do that, now we see that there's actually are other transactions where this error has occurred. We have payable to bank now in a number of different areas. So now that's a good time to use our new feature, Export to Excel. So we can click Export and give that a file name. And here's what that looks like. We have a spreadsheet now that has all the detail of those transactions. What you probably do at this point is give that to your accounting supervisor to go do some diagnostics, because we're trying to find like which user maybe needs training because somebody made a mistake, or maybe there's something in the accounting rule set up where we're defaulting that automatically in some context, and we have to get to the bottom of that issue. So you as the user aren't the person who necessarily in this case is going to resolve all of these problems. So it gives you a chance to give an export of Excel for diagnostic purposes and give it to the right person who can track this error down. So that was actually a really useful search. We might want to come back and do that again. So this actually highlights another feature we added in the ECZ framework, which is saved search. So actually, I could give that search that I'm in right here in this screen a name, draft journals with the wrong account, and I can save that. And then later on, I can select the save search under the search bar and say, okay, I'm going to run that search again. And when I do that, I come back. Now, this is later on, and we've corrected these events. You can see some of those actually have disappeared as events that have that error present. So save search, export to Excel, expanding the rows. Those are three of the key framework features we added. And you can see how useful those are just from this little demo that we did. So let's transition on now beyond the period close set of capabilities to handling some leasing issues. So here the news as of 2019 is that we have to follow new accounting standards for how we handle the lease transactions that we have. We have to put our leases, operating leases, onto the balance sheet. So if I lease a copier, I lease a car, whatever I lease a piece of construction equipment, I have to have that now. The liabilities for future payments as payables or as a liability on my balance sheet, and a right of use asset is put on the asset side of my balance sheet. And then we have to do accounting entries against those balances. So that's all new just in the last couple of years here. So we have a capability that does that. If you're just a customer financials, you're entitled to use some functionality from our property manager application that supports all of that accounting. And you can just